My first for you, I'm just curious, for people who are going through something right now where they're faced with they're looking in the mirror and they're having that
Yes.
difficult time making that decision, what advice can you give to that person to help pull them out of whatever it is that they're going through so they can ultimately make the best decision for them?
Well, I would say anyone that's looking in the mirror, first of all, that's a massive victory. Most people will hide. They will hide from anything that hurts, you know? So if someone's already looking in the mirror, they've made a monumental step. So right there, they need to uh, congratulate and pat themselves on the back. Caesar and I always say to each other, like one day when we were tore up and I was really, really down or something, he said, "Rudy, why are you so mean to yourself? You're so nice to everybody else." And I thought, well, man, maybe I had to start treating myself the way I treat other people. And so Caesar and I always, like, we talk about waking up and looking in the mirror. I said, "I love the F out of you. I radically love the F out of you. I just love you." And we'll just stay in that mirror, pointing at each other, saying, "I love you." And that's what I would say to anybody. If they're looking in the mirror, the first thing they need to say is, "I just radically love the F out of you. And that you're here for a purpose and you're worth it." The next step, of course, is reach out to the people that you love the most and tell them what you're going through.
Healthy for you, right? Because
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Reach out to those that love you the most, meaning they really love you. Not the groupies, not the freaking enablers.
You have to clean shop, and that's a hard decision,
totally.
right? That codependent.
Oh, totally. My shop now is very, very, very different. I mean, it starts here with Jade, me, Hank, and the two cats. And now, who knew I would become a cat person? I love these kitties. There's a little cat named Pants, a little girl, and she's very shy, but she's very close to me. And she comes out and sees me. Yes, normally when Jade's gone, like she just wants some alone time with me, or I'm reading. And Pants, she has a thing about clawing on the soft blanket and purring like she's nursing. And I'll throw a blanket on my lap or close to, and she'll come to me. And then if I'm not petting her while I'm reading, she'll talk to me. And cats are not normally really, really vocal, except they'll go meow, meow. But this one will go like and talk to me, make sure I keep petting her. And she sleeps by my side, by my head every night too. So I have my cats. I have Hank, my willful child. I have Jade. That's my nucleus. And then I have the people from Soren X, and I have Force Blue. I have my soft commando crew here, my soft squad. Like, we're like a boy band, except with guns and can do triathlons. My soft squad here started with Jeff Gum and I. We've got Kaj Larson. We've got Paul Thomas, 3 SEALs. I got a beautiful young man named Pierce. And he's a ranger, and he just got out. He's 28. And so we do a lot of support structure together with us here, simply by training together, talking to each other, showing up at each other's house. They show up here to the house, they hang and talk with Jade, and then we're working on philanthropy for the SEAL Family Foundation. We're doing a workout for them, and we're doing stuff with Rock Cuff. You see those cuffs that I've been wearing that work on your physical fitness with minimal equipment, even body weight, you get results. We're just working together, except this is now a crew, and this is now a team, a platoon of guys, and their supportive family that is only interested and completely directed to positivity and growth. Not the mystique of us being trigger pullers, door kickers, and flying from the sky, or swimming from the water. Yeah, but really being in the now. So that I clean my house with whoever was in the past, and this is who I got now, and my life is much better. I still have down days sometimes, that I have down days, but I feel it. I actually will feel it. I'll just feel it.
You're running from it.
Yeah, I'll just feel it and be down for one day, and Jade will help me through it for one day. She'll notice, and I'll talk to her about what I'm going through, and then the next day after I wake up that next day and I'm fired up again, because naturally the human body is always ready to survive and then thrive. If you can somehow just get some sleep and wake up and move your body with exercise, You'd be
Hmm.
surprised how capable you are of handling all the challenges that really hurt your feelings.
Yeah, just have that discipline in those moments where you don't want to peel yourself off of the couch. Just get
Yes,
up. Just start with
yes,
getting up,
yes,
and just remind your when as soon as you start to like have those negative thoughts, those moments of self-worth, like just get out of that. There's a time to process, right? To like
yes,
not
totally.
run away from your pain necessarily, but sometimes when you're in your head and you know you're going
Yes,
down that toxic path, like do whatever you can to get out of it. And that it's funny, like we're just like meshing on the same page, because I was going to bring up something that I saw on your Instagram page and I thought it was so valuable. Healing with training, and then you have
yes,
your four pillars. So it sounds like this is a method that you take to have that self-care and take care of yourself. Is that
yes.
and it was, you kind of already brought it up, the physical.
Thank you. I believe in it because it's real.
Oh
It's your
yeah.
physical and mental fitness.
Hmm.
It's a community. It is Mother Nature being outside. That's why you always see me training outside. Of course, with Plank Studio for my job, which I love, my online training
Hmm.
business, I go to the studio to do that. But then you see everything else is done back here in the backyard or at the park or wherever I'm at in the world.
Hmm.
Something about looking at this beautiful sky, these palm trees, or being in the ocean, or being in the mountains, or even being freezing cold in the snow. It
Hmm.
exhilarates you. This is the way the human being is created. I mean, this is our DNA. We're not designed to be cubicle zombies or or
Preach.
being or being like halogen style lighting and that lighting makes us all look like anyway. We're not designed to live that way. And then the fourth
Yeah,
pillar, of course, is mission. You must
perfect.
really be driving towards something more in your family, more in your work, more in my case, nonprofit, saving the world. I mean, I'm a dreamer. So I believe I'm here to save the world. So I'm doing that with Force Blue. So those four pillars, with that, I can do anything. And I can endure and I can shelter myself. With those four pillars, you make a strong tabletop and you can load it up with all you want, but you can sleep underneath it too. You've got a shelter. If I'm missing one of those for too long, and COVID is taking that away from a lot of people, they're not getting outdoors, and they're not. It's a struggle with community because we're not designed also to just be connecting through community with just two-dimensional screen. We really need that touch, like you know, uh, in the house. Like I'm always petting the animals or touching Jade, grabbing her and talking to her and smelling her.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
really need that tangible connection.
Yeah, action is powerful. It's so interesting though, because I think for me personally, when COVID first happened, I kind of mentally checked out just because I didn't want to get too caught up in my thoughts and I had so much going on. But physically, my body started to react from the stress that I was experiencing. So I
Of
really
course.
had to reframe this experience of, okay, well, this doesn't necessarily mean it's not all terrible. How can I look at the light in the situation? And one, I've been actually able to get outside more, because I've been home more, and I make sure that I take those walks, and on the weekends I go to the mountains and do those things that I need to do
So
instead of
important.
nonstop.
Critical. Yeah, critical.
To take care of myself, and also touching base with people that I haven't been in contact with for such a long time too, that I
Yes.
missed, like you, for
Now
example.
you have the time. Yes, now you have the time. And I've never been better. I've never been better than right now, ever in my life. Considering the scope and considering the ambition I have now. Uh, I was a small town kid who grew up in a boys' home and shuffled around to different homes uh, and then a kickboxer. And my life and my scope and my ambition was quite centered and small. And then I went to the Marine Corps and became a recon Marine. That became a bigger scope and ambition. Um, but now my scope of ambition is massive. I mean, it's nothing short of changing the world and changing society to be a better society. And I am happier now than I ever have been in my life. And it's not just because, I'm uh, have some notoriety or because I have some modicum of fame. It's because the rest of those pillars of my life are so strong that I'm equipped. I feel equipped now to dream the way I dream. And now they're no longer dreams. They truly are missions.
That's amazing. And it's ironically enough, speaking of mission, it sounds like Force Blue is your passion now and something that you care greatly about. So, how can people listening get more involved? Like, what exactly?
Oh, it's sure. Force Blue, it's so rad. ForceBlueTeam.org. It's so rad. We're doing workouts with our scuba gear and stuff on right now to raise money. And also we have amazing board shorts, silkies, some apparel. But really, my target is big donors like the oil companies, like Apple, like Leonardo DiCaprio, like massive people in media that have the resources and the strength to take us much further, like the NFL. But probably what's happening is that everyone that connects to it recognizes how precious this is and how important. They're starting to feel important because they're connecting and involved with something that's going to make a difference. We're so scared right now as a society and as a world. We can't keep living on oil forever. We can't keep going to war to protect trading routes and petroleum. We can't keep using slave labor for pennies on the dollar overseas. We cannot. The world's collapsing because of it. You know what Corona's done most as far as catastrophic impact is the economy. And it's because we are so disconnected to our community. We don't make our own food anywhere close to us. We don't make our goods here. The industry, the biggest industry in most big cities is service. And now because of Corona, there are no restaurants, bars, and service business places open, and it's crushing everything. We need to return back to a more sensible and a more pragmatic and definitely a more rooted foundation, which is our community and being do-it-yourselfers and being self-sufficient. And see, this is why I was great as a recon Marine. I was self-sufficient raising myself and my two brothers. Recon taught me how to be self-sufficient as an operator, mentally, physically, spiritually. And now here I am as a citizen, as a conservationist. And if you look on my Wikipedia, what I'm so proud of is that it says Recon Marine, veteran, and conservationist. No longer any. I mean, that's it, man. Yeah. This is exciting to me, and this is the way forward for all of us. And I think America, for sure, is going to come out of the COVID crisis with a new set of glasses, and they're going to be equipped with a new framework of thinking, for sure.
When you look back at your life, what were some pivotal moments when you had to take that look in the mirror? And, what did that decision look like? What did that change look like? And how were you able to make that change?
For a long time, I didn't change. And, we're so capable of enduring pain and compartmentalizing pain and utilizing aggression and anger to plow through whatever's ahead of us. It takes a long time or a catastrophic event for us to drop that armor and drop that uniform and look directly in the mirror and assess ourselves. So for a long time, I would not admit to the red flags that were continuously coming up in my life. You remember back in the day, Sarah, that I was always a nomad.
Yes.
And that was I'm an orphan, and I was a nomad since before school, at 3 or 4 years old. And in the Marine Corps fit perfectly with the kind of person I was. I believed in justice and I believed in goodness, and I was physically disciplined with martial arts. So it was a perfect fit. What took us out of the Neolithic age and took us out of the caves and would later create tribes and societies that would make writing and art, create technology. They needed a village. They needed a home. Even if they were hunter-gatherers, They stayed together in a tribe. I could, looking back, I recognized that I was like punishing myself and staying in my pain comfort zone of always being on the move. So this is the first time I've had a home that's my home with my woman, with my Jade, with a home to come home, a home that I return to and that I'm excited to show up to. And when I come back from coaching and training, you know, I say, "Hi, honey, I'm home." This is the first time I felt that since I was married to the Marine Corps, and then I had a girlfriend who happened to be my wife, because, you know, she only got a little bit of the homecoming. I was with my men, and that was my real marriage.
That's real.
You've been there, and no matter how hard we tried, and no matter how good of men we were never really home. It was just a comfortable and a pleasurable forward operating base for the civilian world, because our real home was in training and deployment. So I due to my talent and my ability, and of course because I can endure pain, and I thought actually very little of myself after leaving recon, because I had no mirrors around me to reflect that I was good or that I was strong, brave, intelligent. I just kept running from one little mission to another little mission, whether I was contracting or whether I was doing some TV or a movie or doing some modeling. But I no longer had a village. And I was also maybe feeling that I didn't deserve to come home to a village. I didn't even know what that village looked like. This is the first time. I'm 48 years old now. This is the first time that I am, in a self-actualized way, having a home. And even if Jade and I don't live here forever, I mean, we're always talking about going someplace with more land for the animals and more freedom. But now I have a home, at least in my heart. And that started because of Force Blue. And Force Blue started because I lost my son, Dylan, because I was deemed that I was unfit to be his dad. His mother and I was not in love. I loved her, but I was not in love. And I thought I would be be the best dad I could, because I've never had a dad. So I tried to make it work as a father and as a quasi husband / Mr. Mom, who still found his self-esteem in doing missions. So I was always in and out, and I was still doing hard drugs. I was drinking a lot to cope in between. You know, I never did hard drugs and never was drunk ever on missions or a job. Matter of fact, I never started drinking and doing drugs till I started drinking at 36 or whatever when I got out of the Marine Corps, 35. And then I started doing hard drugs when I got into Hollywood. Never did that before. But now anytime I would be home, meaning the United States, CONUS, the only way I could cope, aside from my Dylan, and when I was not with Dylan, then I would tear myself apart. My military service also, from being a scout sniper and a recon Marine, my tendency towards violence, I started fighting and street fighting a lot because I have a hair trigger now. And then my substance abuse and alcoholism was used against me. And yet little did they know. Little did Pamela know, or her family, or maybe they didn't care. And actually, the fact is, a lot of people just don't care. These things that I was going through were directly related to my extreme experience fighting for the country. Extreme experience. And I've never been arrested. This is the first time I've been in a court, and I was humiliated. And first thing I did, I got back into the car. It was in St. Louis. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, and that's where I had a little home base. Actually, I didn't even have a home base there yet. I got a home base because I had to go through anger management and psychological evaluation for a year so that I could see Dylan again for an hour every few months, with people there. And I got back in the car. My little brother Michael drove me there. And after I got out of court, and I was dressed in my nicest clothes, I just started freaking chopping up some freaking lines, started doing some blow and drinking some vodka right there in the car. My little brother Michael is crying because this is not the man he knew before. I was his hero. He looked up to me. And I lost a lot of work. I had some entertainment work ahead. All that was gone. Word on the street is that you can't really work with Rudy. He shines bright, but he's a loose cannon, and he might kill somebody. And they weren't far from the truth. So I was at home, and I used to have guns at my house. And after a long, long time being there, actually, I don't even know how long. Maybe it was only 4 days. Maybe it was 4 weeks. I don't really remember. There's a lot of time lost when I was in that space. And I was going out with a woman who's really, really abusive to me. But, again, I was used to abusing myself. So what's the difference from your love, the person you love, and the person that you think loves you abuses you? There's no difference if you're used to abusing yourself. So I kept trying to show that I was worth something. Of course, you can never do that. If you don't know you're worth something yourself, it doesn't work. There's just no way for it to work. So I took my pistol, a Glock, and I went in condition 1, and I just put it in my mouth. And I was tired. I felt like a failure to my son, felt like a failure to myself, felt like a failure to the world. And I felt this force, some kind of force, just in no words, but like to put my gun down, that everything's going to be okay. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I was still torn apart. You know what? That's the only time in my life I remember I was so depressed. Caesar took me, my other little brother, and I stayed at his house, and he watched over me. I slept on the floor there and watched Knight Rider and some really bad TV, and just drank and did drugs for about 10 days straight. And that was the only time I've ever not worked out. I was so down, I was so low. And I got a call from Jim Ritteroff, my co-founder of Force Blue. And he asked me if I'd love to go diving with him. I'm a combat diver, but I'd never done civilian diving really down in Cayman Islands. Of course, I had no job, I had no money, I had no nothing. He and my other co-founder, Coast Guard rescue swimmer, Keith Song, K-Dog, they got some money together, and they got me out to Cayman Islands, and I saw the beauty under the water. And I saw these communities of beings under the water. And I started working out and training again, and feeling the sunshine in the air, and the salt and the water and the beautiful animals and beings under the water. And I started coming back to life. I got away from New York. I got away from LA. Got away from Kansas City. I got away from the cities because, when you make great money modeling or doing television or whatever, but you don't give a shit about yourself, you always know where the party's at, or where the drug dealers are at. So I just had drug dealers everywhere in the US, and they would just deliver me whatever I want. I just got out. I got recalibrated. And towards the end of the dive trip, 7-8 days later, Jim and Keith said that all this gorgeous habitat is being destroyed, and it's going to be gone in a few years. And something just struck me that there's no way I'm going to let this beauty, this first beauty that I've had in my life in a long time, be taken away. And my first idea, they said that it was the cruise lining ships that were dragging up with their anchors and crushing the freaking pristine habitat. And if people don't know, every third breath you take, the oxygen comes from the coral reefs. And I said, well, shit, me and my guys will get together. We'll get some explosives. We'll blow up the ships. I mean, that was my first thought, right? And then my boys are like, yo, hey, let's pump the brakes, dog. Let's think about something else. I said, but we got to do something. And that's how Force Blue started. And then we started thinking, well, what can we do? We have to educate. We have to rebuild, repair, and protect. and we need many more teammates. And so we had a logo and a mission before we had a business. We didn't even know anything about nonprofits. We didn't know anything about business. None of us are business people. We're passion people. And so now, 5 years later, 4 years later, we're fully operational. We're partnered with the NFL. We've done these magnificent missions in coral restoration and coral rescue after hurricanes in Puerto Rico and throughout Florida. Partnered with the NFL. Jim and I have been speaking at colleges. We have now been invited to the TED Talks. I just got the word that Jim and I will be speaking at the United Nations in June as a voice for conservation and how we've done it with Force Blue, because we have a multinational team now. And we can use this as a model, collaborative with all of this talent we have, both in the diving community, in the special operations community, and in the science and conservation community, mixed with these magnificent donors that I have. I mean, of course, I'm always raising money, but I can't name the name, but I have a benefactor that has put in close to $500,000 to get us going. And at first it was just a little bit of money, first we had no money. But what we did was so profound and it had never been done before. And I tell anybody out there in this new world full of narcissism and semper I instead of semper fi, what is so important about documenting and filming and keeping a record of these great things accomplished with virtue is other people can be inspired and join. We're all in the same boat in saving planet Earth. It doesn't matter if you get on the left side or the right side. We are all in the same boat. And our donor happened to come across our Force Blue film about the story of Force Blue, Mercy, Love, and Grace. And that's how, and that was introduced to me by Ian Asbury, who's a rock star, the lead singer of The Cult. And he was my idol as a teenager throughout life, because he does work helping the Native American community and helping all kinds of people in a humanitarian way with his status. And he brought me to meet the money manager of this person. And since then, Force Blue has been going so strong. So there was little things, like first God stepped in, then Jim stepped in, then Force Blue was created. And then I started getting really clean and strong. And then I stepped in. I started having self-respect. I started working with Jeff Gum from Sunga Life. I met Jade shortly after that. And because I started feeling that I was worth it, I started accepting love. And once I started accepting love, I could actually give love too. So, and that's where I'm at. I mean, it started with God helping me, and then me, like a good freaking sniper, taking that freaking recoil and running the follow through so I could get back on target. And so I've been doing that ever since.